Welcome to the Solo Coder Podcast, where we talk shop with coders on how to start, change, and improve your coding career. Here is your host, Aderson Oliveira.
This is the first episode of Season 5 of the Solo Coder Podcast. Each season, I create 20 episodes. It's been great to see the feedback from my students about how the show helps them, in this case you, with your career. That is my goal. I've tried before to have themes for the seasons, however, I'll just play by the ear and I'll be talking with coders that I'm interested in speaking with, regardless of topic. The season breakdown just gives me the opportunity to take a break to think and rework potential elements of the show. And here is the first episode of Season 5. I spoke with Mariot Tsitoara. He is a full-stack developer focused on React and Python. Mariot lives in Bordeaux, France, but he is originally from Madagascar. I was very excited to be speaking with someone from Madagascar for the first time in my life. Beyond that, Mariot is also a book author and speaker. I came across his name because I bought his book, Beginning Git and GitHub, which he got published by A-Press. A very well put together and beginner-friendly book. The book was the result of a presentation he gave. We spoke about the process of putting the book together and the strategies he used to get it done, including the Pomodoro technique, of which I am a big fan myself. He shared the story about a tough situation he found himself in. He was asked to create code to check people's productivity. Then he should come up with a list of employees that should be fired. Check out how he handled this odd situation. Enjoy. Leave a comment, leave a review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast player. It will make a huge difference. Hello, Aderson Oliveira here. This is a Solo Coder Podcast, where I have awesome conversations with coders, developers, programmers. Call them however you want. But they have one thing in common. They have the passion for coding as a big part of their careers, as a big part of their lives. And today is no different. Today I have with me Mariot Tsitoara. Mariot, thanks so much for being here. Welcome, and can you please introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. Hi Aderson. My name is Mariot, and I currently live in Bordeaux, France with my girlfriend, and I'm learning guitar right now. It's very hard. And I've been a developer for about 6 years now, and my main tools are Python and JavaScript. And I'm very happy to be here.
That's awesome, Mario. Thank you so much for being here. And comment ça va?
Ça va très bien.
That's as far as my French goes, okay?
It's great. It's enough. Just stroll around in Bordeaux and say comment ça va to everyone.
You're gonna be welcomed.
You're gonna be welcome with very open arms.
Awesome. Okay, so usually I like to bring my guests, my heroes, to the beginnings of their journey with coding. So, can you go back there and tell me how you got started?
I think it's almost the same story for geeks. So I love video games very, very much. So when I was younger, I thought to myself, when I grow up, I wanna make video games, and that's how I began to learn programming. So I programmed little games in the command lines, and I started to make 2D games, and after I chose to learn computer science, but then I realized that playing video games is much more fun than creating them. So I didn't give up on creating video games, but it was a very stressful environment. I do it mostly for fun now. It was a very fun period of my life.
So when did you leave Madagascar to go to France?
It was 2 years ago. First, because I I wanted to discover oil because Madagascar is a very young country. You will be lucky to find something more than 300 years. And in Europe, it's not like that. There are very old stuff, very old churches. I can go to many historical places. So that is the first reason. And the second reason is because I worked in a tech company, and most of our projects were projects from France. And I thought to myself, since I've been doing these projects anyway, why not do it from France?
Talk to me about when you finish your bachelor's degree in computer science, and then talk to me a little bit about the first, I would say, job, the first opportunity you had in the industry.
The first opportunity I had was a call center. It was a call center company, and I was a developer for them. Center company, and I was a developer for them. I think that's where I learned everything that I know now, because I've learned a lot of stuff when I was in school, but not enough. The industry is not like I was taught about in school. Working at that company taught me everything that I know now.
For instance,
For instance, I learned in school about agile methods, but I didn't really use it until I was in the industry, and that's when I learned how to do it well. Because for me in school, agile was just daily stand-ups, and that was it. But in the industry, that's where I learned how to communicate well with the team, and how to schedule for delivery.
what do you think it's one of the biggest gaps between what you see in college, university, and what the industry expects? What is a big gap there?
I think the biggest gap is the relationship with the clients. Right now, we are very data focused. When you launch a product, you work on it for 1 year to launch. You have to make an MVP and launch, and study the data, and adapt your solution to the client's needs. And when I was in school, it wasn't like that. You had to have all the information beforehand, and then that's when you code your solution. And in the industry, it doesn't work that way. You have to change a lot of time. It's very hard to predict.
Can you tell me about a turning point in your career, Mario?
I think the biggest change was I decided to learn more about backend development instead of front-end, because the first time when I began my career, I was a front-end engineer. I think I was not very, very good at it. I had to learn a lot of stuff to convert myself into a backend engineer.
What was the biggest challenge there for you to be converted from a front end to a back end?
The biggest challenge was to convince other people, convince employers that yes, I don't have any professional experience in backend, but I learned about it, and this is what I've done in about it, and this is what I've done in meanwhile, and please give me a chance. I think it was the biggest challenge for me to convince other people.
How was that first experience as a back end? I mean, it was in a company that you were working before, or it was in a new organization?
It was in a new organization. I think it's the best job I ever had, because I had so much impact. I had directly so much impact, and I liked it very much.
Impact. What do you mean by impact?
I mean that the company was doing some data collection, and some NGOs were using those data to help the people that were living very far away from the city. Collection app to send the results very quickly, so they knew what was needed and what to send, and for example, how many doctors to send in this region, and how many teachers to send this in this other region. And I am very proud to have worked in this company.
At which point in time did you connect with A-Press?
It's when I was working with that company as well. We were at lunch and we were discussing about how to make a better delivery. So I suggested to change some stuff in Git, and we were using GitLab in Git and GitLab. And my boss, he told me, why don't you put together a presentation and give us some presentation? And I did, and but I and give us some presentation, and I did, and but I put so much information in that presentation that I was thinking to myself, maybe I should put this in a blog also. So I began to write the blog, and it was also very long, and that's when I realized maybe I can make a book out of this, and maybe it will be the book that I needed when I was starting up. So that's when I reached out to A-Press, and they asked me to write the summary, and they liked it, and I wrote it for about 6 months. The editor, her name is Louise, and she helped me very much because writing a book was very challenging for me. I had to use a lot of tech, and it was very challenging.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk about that. I like that because one of my goals in life is to write a book. However, I don't like writing. My medium of choice is voice, is video. I find it very tedious to write. So tell me, come on, procrastination, writing a book, how can you deal with that?
I think I used one of your preferred methods. I used the Pomodoro technique. So I worked for 25 minutes and I rest for 5-10 minutes. And that's the only way I could finish the book.
Okay, so that was the main technique that you have used there?
Yeah, it was the main technique.
Wow, that's awesome. And how many Pomodoros were you able to do a day on the book writing?
It was about four for each session, but I don't write every day. I write every.
In 6 months using the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, it's 6 months, but I had about a month of late nights. I was very late, yeah.
So when you look back at that experience, Mariot, anything that you would have done differently, knowing what you know now about writing a book?
Knowing what I know now, I would have been a lot more serious about it because, as I said, I used the Pomodoro technique and I didn't work very hard on it. That's why I was late. But knowing what I know now, it wasn't that hard, but I was just very lazy.
You mentioned that you're not that serious. What do you mean specifically about serious?
I mean that I could have done it a lot more quicker because, as I said before, I didn't work every day, but every 3 to 4 days. But if I worked on it on every other day, it will be done a lot more quicker.
Aside from using the Pomodoro technique, were there other strategies that you were using? Like you had the outline first and just looking for the other strategies that you used to put the book together?
Okay, what I used was that I wrote the introduction and the conclusion first, so that the outline was very obvious from that, and then I begin by listing some bullet points, and then separate those bullet points by paragraph, and then at the last step I form the phrases.
Asking from a non-native English speaker here, was that extra hard for you to put the book together in English?
It was a little bit hard because there are so many words that I didn't know in English. English is very very weird. There are so I had the editor correct me. That was the main thing that has helped me do it.
How was working with an editor? Did you have to write a bunch of chapters and then you submit and then they review and then come back to you? How was that process?
Well, first I write a chapter and then I send it to the editor, and the editor just fix the grammatical errors and then send it to the technical reviewer. So the technical reviewer makes sure that everything technical is sound, and then they send it back to the editor so they can put in the right images, the right graphics, and that's where most of the correction is done. And then they send back to me so I can add in some correction, or maybe add in some additional sentences that I forgot.
Did you find the process easy to follow?
Yeah, it was fairly easy to follow.
Mahiro, let's move to a segment that I call Pick One. I'm going to give you a few options. You're gonna pick one and you're gonna tell me why you picked that one. The first one, GitLab, Bitbucket, or GitHub?
GitLab. I mainly use GitHub now because it's way more popular, and they have free private repositories now. I think GitLab is easier to set up if you want to set it up in your own company or at home. You can have all the same features, but in your own server, and uh, that's not very possible in GitHub. Very That's not very possible in GitHub. Bitbucket, I used it only once, and didn't leave it didn't leave me a big impression.
React or Angular?
React, no question asked. I've worked with both, and I think working with React is way easier, and it's more difficult to write bad code in React. With Angular, it's straightforward at first, but you can make really bad code, and it's very difficult to maintain it.
Git command line or Git GUI?
Oh, that's the big question. I'm gonna use Git GUI if you already understand Git command line. Right now, I use Git code or CLion or PyCharm, but it's way easier to understand it if you already understand the command lines. But when I have to do a merge or something a little bit complicated, I use the command lines.
Machine learning or web development?
Oh, machine learning. I've been doing a lot of web developments, and I want to discover something very new, and machine learning is the future. I really like it, and it's very interesting. Since it's fairly new, there are so many things to discover, and it's very exciting.
Last one here. French, English, or Malagasy?
I'll go with Malagasy because it's a very soft language. We don't have genders. When you are saying a sentence, it's very nebulous. It's very nebulous about what you are talking about. So it is very difficult for newcomers. But once you master it, it's great. And one fun fact: our names are also don't also have genders. So if you only know the name of someone, you don't know which gender they are. I really like it.
Okay, so we are done with our pick one here. You mentioned about machine learning. What's your stack on machine learning at this point?
At this point, I mostly use machine learning with Python Right now, I use models that were created by other people. Right now, I'm learning to how to create my own models.
Can you tell me about a time that things didn't go as planned?
I remember a time when I was searching for a new job. So I went to the interview. There were two of them, and it was very smooth. And the company seemed really great. The interviewer actually called me a week later to let me know I had the job, and asked me to come by so we can discuss about it. And everything went great. And then he told me about the project, and it was to come up with a set of algorithms to calculate the workers' productivity and use this algorithm to determine which people they had to fire. And that was too much for me. It was a job that I didn't imagine myself into, and that was a shock for me, and I didn't take the job.
Well, what did you explain to them? The reason why you were not taken?
Yeah, I explained to them that it was.
Did it surprise you that this was the task?
Yeah, I didn't think about. I knew that it was something about data, and I knew that they had a lot of employees, but I didn't know that the project was to calculate the productivity and take decision based on that. It was a complete surprise for me.
I saw something on your Twitter that says that you are part of Mozilla Tech Speakers. What is that?
So Mozilla Tech Speaker is a group, it's a community within Mozilla, and our mission is to talk about new techs from Mozilla. For example, I am giving talks about WebVR, Rust, WebAssembly, and I've been tech speaker I think it's 4 years now. Yeah, I really like it.
How did you get involved with that?
I've been always involved in Mozilla since I was a student. First, I was a code contributor, and then I was a localization contributor. So I was part of the team that translated Firefox to French and to Malagasy. And then I started to move around in a lot of teams, and I ended up in Tech Speakers.
Mario, let's go back there to the book, to your experience with writing a book. Would you write another book after that experience?
Yes, I would think yes. I've been thinking about it a lot of time, and yes, I'm ready to write another one. But I don't have the subject yet. Right now, I'm very interested in robotics, like building toy robots with Arduino and with some microcontrollers. So maybe that, or maybe that will be just for fun.
And how is the book doing?
Yeah, I think it's doing okay. I think a lot of people read a lot more book during the quarantine, so maybe that's why it has been doing well for the last few months. So, but anyway, it's doing okay.
We did mention the title of the book. What is the title?
Oh yeah, the title is Beginning Git and GitHub.
Let's move to a segment, and it's called the Fireside Chats. It's supposed to be quick questions with quick answers, and the first one is
I can make a playlist for any occasion and for any audience. So I'm always the DJ when we have aperos with friends.
the flip side of that coin. What's your kryptonite?
My kryptonite, it's design. I am awful with design. My nightmare is CSS.
How come you are off with design and you start your career as a front-end developer?
I think that's why I decided to to switch to backend developer.
Makes sense. What's your current challenge?
Right now, I'm trying to learn how to program an embedded system. So I bought a microcontroller for beginners and went back to C language. And it's been very hard for me to start learning it's been very hard for me to start learning such a new concept again. But it's also very fun.
Is it
It's for fun.
what excites you the most these days?
These days, I recently enrolled in a data science course, so I am very patient to learn some great new things, and it's gonna be fun.
Can you share a resource? It can be a book, a site, an author.
Lately, I've been also reading the Rust book. It's the book that explains how to get started with Rust. It's a completely free book. You can find it in the Rust website, and it's great. There are a lot of examples, and it's a sure way to learn more about Rust.
Who's someone in the industry that you admire?
Not really someone, but a group of people. It's a YouTube channel called Computer File. They make really great videos, and they explain many difficult subjects with such ease, and they are great.
If you were starting your career again, knowing what you know today, what would you do differently?
I think I will take some time off, work on myself a little bit more. When I was younger, I worked all the time with very little downtime, and I didn't take very good care of my health. If I were to start again, I'll go easier on myself.
In which sense you didn't take care of yourself enough?
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of sports when I was younger. Like I wasn't doing enough to keep my body active because I was always working on the computer. I didn't do enough sports like I was in high school or in middle school.
What's next in your career?
Right now,
What's next in your career?
Right now, I don't know yet. There are so many great stuff to work on, and I'm very comfortable in what I do right now. So the future is not very clear for me, but I've seen a lot of great stuff in the laboratories here in Bordeaux. So maybe I can go back to learn new technique or find a new technology to work on. It's a mystery for me right now.
You mentioned that you found things interesting in laboratories. Can you give an example of something interesting that you found lately?
Okay. So right now in the laboratories of Bordeaux, they are working with the main hospital here. So they are trying to build a machine learning model to find from images. So they have a lot of data, and they want to create a model to automatically recognize the cancerous cells. And I think it's very interesting.
Mariot, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. Thank you so much for your book. I have, by the way, your book in front of me. So I'm using
cool.
I'm using it as a good reference. I'm putting together some quick tutorials on Git and GitHub for not only for my students, but for on my YouTube channel as well. And I have your book as a reference point, as a reference guide, you know.
That's great. Thanks. And thanks again for inviting me to this. It's been great.
Awesome. I hope that we can catch up in the near future to see how you're doing and the next steps in your career, your plans, and I hope that you have a great 2021. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me again. Have fun.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Solo Coder Podcast. For more information, show notes, and links mentioned in this episode, visit solocoder.com/the episode number.